Lying 7 miles north of Stromness, Skara Brae is one of the most important sites on Orkney. This Neolithic settlement predates Stonehenge and the pyramids, and there are 10 surviving houses at the site, uncovered during a violent storm in the 19th century. In 1850, the storm raged over the island, and after it abated, it was discovered sand had been blown away, and with it, a hidden history was uncovered. It was the beginning of a remarkable find. The land was owned by William Watt, who also owned the nearby Scale House, and he was the first to explore what had been uncovered. He collected some artefacts from the 2 exposed houses, but Watt never wrote down his exploits at Skara Brae. In 1861, James Farrar explored the site, but again he never wrote down what he found. It wasn't until later in the 1860s that George Petrie, an Orcadian antiquary, published his finds, followed by William Trail, and through their writings discovered Watt had cleared the site, exposing 4 houses by 1867. Another 46 years would elapse before any more excavation was done. In the summer of 1913, W. Balfour Stewart was staying at Scale House, and along with one of his guests, Professor William Boyd Dawkins, a geologist and archaeologist, they went to the site, where they dug into what is now known as House 2, to the side of the site already cleared. It came into state care in 1924, and in December of that year, a storm damaged one of the structures, now named House 3, almost washing all of it into the sea. To stop further damage, the sea wall was constructed and completed in 1926. In 1963, major works were carried out at the sea wall, and it was extended. The site was further cleared by a team from Kirkwall contractor Jai Firth in 1927, under the supervision of architect Jai Wilson Patterson, but it soon transpired that specialist archaeologists would have to come to the site in order to catalogue the finds and do more careful excavation. In the early 1970s, another excavation took place, with a view to dating the site, recording the environment there at the time, and looking at the economy of the people who lived there. However, Skara Brae wasn't the first settlement at the site, as buildings were discovered underneath it, with the exception of 2 of these earlier structures, known as Houses 9 and 10, which lie furthest from the sea. In the freestanding House 9, a dresser is clearly visible, along with its central hearth and a bed set into a recess. These 2 houses were smaller than their later counterparts, although one, the size of the later larger houses, was discovered. House 7 is the best preserved at Skara Brae, and was once open to the public, but due to bad preservation by the Office of Works, who decided to use concrete and put a glass roof with sliding panels over it in 1932, the weight of the concrete damaged stones, and the glass acted as a greenhouse, doing further damage. It was decided to remove these, and Historic Scotland covered it with a lightweight turf roof in 2007, blocked up the doorway, and is monitoring it carefully. This house was built slightly further back, and what made it unique was that its door could only be locked from the outside, unlike the others, which had internal locks. An interesting discovery at this house was that under the floor, the skeletal remains of 2 women were found. Other remains have since been discovered near the village. One of the unique features is the passages that were later covered with stone slabs, then covered with clay and turf. In all, there are 4 visible at the site, but originally they were uncovered walkways between the cluster of houses. The houses were built of a double wall of stone and packed with decomposed midden deposits to act as insulation. It also provided stability to the dry stone walls. They were not subterranean, and it's believed their roofs were constructed at a steep angle and covered in some kind of waterproof vegetation. They may have been supported by bone from whales or other large sea creatures, or driftwood washed up on the shore. All the houses we see today at the site have the same basic layout. Each one has a central hearth for heat and cooking. A dresser was constructed opposite the entrance, and box beds were placed to the left and right, which is clear to see in houses 1 and 2. House 1 is one of the larger houses and one of the best preserved. In 1884, the skeleton of a female was uncovered in the house. A stone quern used for grinding cereals such as oats was found near the hearth, and there are tanks for storing food or bait. Although very similar, there were subtle differences, such as storage spaces. The doorway was low and the passage narrow, but we must remember these people were much smaller in height than the people of today. Another similarity are the cells, which are presumed to have been storage areas, although a number had drains running under them, so these may have been latrines. At least 5 of the houses show evidence of a drainage system. During excavation works in 1927, a cell contained more than 3,200 bone beads, along with other bone jewellery and tools. In a number of the houses, access to the cells was by crawling under a dresser to reach it, so it's thought to have contained something important. To the western edge of the village are the remains of a workshop, known as Structure 8. This was gleaned from the fact there are no bed recesses, dressers, or anything domestic within it, but there are some small recesses and niches. It was excavated in 1929 by Gordon Child, who discovered hundreds of fragments of black chert, a local rock, that could be worked to make small tools for use in pottery making. These pots were flat-bottomed, and some were highly decorated. It's been suggested that other items such as bone jewellery were made at the workshop. There is evidence of what may have been a flue, used to increase the heat from the fire to deal with the rock. In all, there are the remains of at least 28 structures at the site. Other discoveries at the site include vessels made of whalebone and a figurine, also made of whalebone, which was nicknamed Skara Brae Buddo. This was discovered in House 3 in the mid-19th century by Watt. 2 stone balls were also discovered around 1882. The people who lived at Skara Brae were farmers, keeping cows, sheep and pigs, with the village itself surrounded by farmland. They supplemented their diet by fishing, hunting and foraging, with eggshells, shellfish, fungi and animal bones found. It seems they lived there for around 600 years, between 3100 BCE and 2500 BCE, although not continuously, before abandoning the site around 4,500 years ago, possibly due to erosion and salt from the sea and the strong winds damaging their crops. Life became increasingly difficult, and it seems they simply moved on over time. Thanks to the sand that covered Skara Brae shortly afterwards, what is left of it has been well preserved, as we don't know what its actual size was. Today, the biggest challenge comes from erosion caused by the sea. A close eye will have to be kept on it in the future to protect this outstanding site. In 1996, a replica house was built, along with the visitor centre, both of which opened 2 years later, and in 2006, the visitor paths were altered to help with accessibility. Skara Brae is a scheduled monument and is in the care of Historic Environment Scotland. It became part of the Heart of Neolithic Orkney World Heritage Site in 1999. It's open to the public all year round, closing early on Christmas Eve, and is closed 25th and 26th December and 1st and 2nd January. Adverse weather also affects opening times. Booking is recommended, as the site is popular. If you enjoyed this episode of Scotland's History, please like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching.